So which are the best weapons to use on Layla? In this video, I'm going to be ranking all of the swords we have on the game for Layla. We're going to be doing that in a tier list. So yeah, let's begin. So first of all, as always, we're going to see the requirements you're going to need for a weapon on Layla. The first thing you're going to need is HP. The main thing she pretty much scales with is HP. Most importantly, her shield is going to scale off with HP. Her damage is going to scale off with HP, and also her passives and stuff like that are going to scale with HP. So you definitely want to make sure you get as much HP as you can from your weapon. Then next you'd want to get some crit rate and crit damage for your damage. Obviously, the more you crit, the more the damage you're gonna get. So yeah, you'd want to get as much crit rate and crit damage as possible. And then you might want to get some energy recharge. She doesn't really need it, but it's not gonna be bad on her. Same thing with elemental mastery. She doesn't really need it, but it's gonna be viable on her. It's not gonna be like a full waste, but they're not like necessary stats. Mainly you just want to get HP and crit. So now that we know that, let's start ranking the weapons. So first of all, with the 3 stars, we've got the cool steel. It's gonna give you attack and then damage bonus. You might be able to have the full damage bonus uptime depending on your team, but generally speaking, it's not really a good weapon on Layla. So I'd probably put that at D tier. She doesn't really scale well with attack at all. We've got the Harbinger of Dawn. It's gonna have a low base attack, but that doesn't matter on Layla. And it's gonna give you crit damage as a substat, which is pretty good. And then when your HP is above 90%, it's gonna give you crit rate, which is also pretty good. So that's one of the best weapons actually for Layla. I would probably put that at A tier. It doesn't give you any HP really, so it's not gonna increase your shield. So it's not like an S tier weapon, but for damage, it's gonna be very, very good. So I think it deserves A tier. Traveler's Handy Sword, that's defense and some bullshit passive, so it's D tier. Dark Iron is gonna give you elemental mastery as a substat, and then it's gonna increase your attack. That's not really super good. As I said, elemental mastery is not that good on Layla, but it's not like super bad. It might be usable. So I wouldn't put that D tier, but it's gonna be C tier. Fillet Blade is just attack, so it's D tier. Skyrider's Sword is some elemental mastery and then a attack increase, so I'll probably put that at C tier too. Now we've got the Favonius Sword. It's gonna give you energy recharge, which is not really that needed on Layla, as I explained before, but the passive is gonna be helping all of your team with energy, so it's gonna be like a good supportive passive, and for that I would say it's a decent weapon on Layla. So I'd probably put it at like higher B tier. You can still use it even though you're gonna have less damage and less shield on Layla, but for her role as a support, it's gonna fit her a little bit and support your teammates with energy, so it's always gonna be viable on characters like these. The Flu is just attack, so it's going D tier. Sacrificial is gonna also give you energy recharge, but the passive is not really gonna benefit you as much as the Favonius Sword, so I'll put that like higher C tier. Royal Longsword is just attack, so it's going D tier. Same thing with the Lion's Roar. Proud type Rancor is the same thing. It is physical damage, which is, you don't need that. Iron Sting is gonna give you elemental mastery, and it's also gonna increase your damage, so it's gonna give you like damage bonus. It's a decent weapon, but as I said, it's not really like super good. She doesn't really need that much elemental mastery. The damage bonus is gonna be cool, but it's not really that much too, depending on your like refinements rank. So generally speaking, I put it at like lower B tier, like very low B tier, just for the damage bonus. Blackcliff Longsword is gonna give you crit damage as a substat, and then it's gonna increase your attack from the passive if you're lucky, if you can activate it anyways. It's hard to activate, you're gonna have to kill an enemy and stuff like that, but for the crit damage, it's still a decent weapon, so I'm gonna put it at B tier. Black Sword is gonna give you crit rate as a substat, and then the passive is just gonna increase your auto attack damage and stuff like that, which you don't really need on Layla. But it's the same thing with the Blackcliff, only for the crit rate, I'm gonna put it at B tier. It's gonna increase your crit ratio, make it easier to build, which might give you more damage. So yeah, it's still a decent weapon. We've got the LA Flash. It's gonna give you some elemental mastery and some damage bonus, but the passive is also kind of like restricted. You have to not take damage for it to work, which might be hard sometimes. So generally speaking, it's the same. I'll put it as C tier. Sword of Dissension, that's I think that's the hold on. Oh yeah, it's the PlayStation weapon. I keep forgetting about it. But yeah, it's going D tier. It's just attack and some bullshit passive. Faster in Desire is gonna give you some energy recharge, and it's also gonna buff your elemental skill. It's gonna increase your elemental skills damage and also your elemental skills crit rate. Her elemental skill is not gonna be like her main source of damage. You wouldn't want to like deal damage with your elemental skills, so the passive is kind of useless. And then the energy recharge, as I said before, it's not really that good. So overall, it's not really a great weapon for Layla. I would put it at lower C tier. Aminuma Kaguchi, it's just gonna be some attack and also some energy. It's probably going D tier too. Cinnabar Spindle, that's just some defense, so it's going D tier too. Kagotsurubi Ishin, it's gonna give you attack from the substat, and then the passive is just gonna increase your attack too, so it's going D tier. Sapwood Blade is gonna give you energy recharge from the substat, and then the passive is gonna give you elemental mastery, but you can use it on other characters. You can use other characters to like pick up the leaf and have them get the elemental mastery bonus, so it's like a support weapon too. And that's that's pretty good. As I said, any support weapons are gonna be pretty good on Layla, because since there's not really that many good weapons, you can use weapons that can at least like support your teammates. So yeah, this weapon can work. I will put it at B tier. It's not really super good for Layla specifically, but it can be a great support weapon. Sipho's Moonlight is gonna give you elemental mastery from the substat, and then the passive is gonna give you and your teammates some energy recharge based around your elemental mastery. That's a cool supportive passive, but the thing is you're not really gonna be building elemental mastery on Layla, so it's probably not gonna be that much. So yeah, it's not really a great weapon. I would put it at like higher C tier. Prized Ishin, I think that's not released. Now moving on to the 5 stars, we have the Aquila Favonia. It's not really gonna work. It's just physical damage, which is completely useless. And then the passive is just some damage increases and attack increases and stuff like that, which is not really that good on Layla too. So yeah, I'll put it at probably like D tier. It's not good at all. She cannot use this weapon. Skyward Blade, energy recharge as a substat, which is, as I said before, not really necessary on Layla. The passive is gonna increase your crit, which is decent, but it's not really a lot. And the rest of the passive is basically gonna buff your auto attack's damage, which you don't really need on Layla too. For the energy recharge, I put it at like C tier, but it's definitely not a good weapon on Layla. Freedom Sword is gonna give you elemental mastery, which is not really that good, but the passive is gonna be like a great supportive passive. So for a support weapon, I think it's pretty good. I would put it at like higher B tier. But for Layla itself, it's definitely not as good. Summit Shaper is gonna give you attack, which is useless, and then it's gonna increase your shield strength and attack from the passive. So I'll put it at like D tier. It's definitely not really good. Now we have the Jade Cutter is gonna give you crit rate from the substat, which is very good, and then the passive is gonna increase your HP and attack. The attack increase is not really that good, but the HP increase is gonna be very valuable, especially since we don't have pretty much any weapons that are gonna increase your HP. So yeah, that's one of the few weapons that are gonna actually increase your HP, which is the most important thing you need, and it's also gonna increase your crit rate and damage. So in my opinion, the Jade Cutter for Layla, at least for right now, is gonna be S tier. It's one of the few weapons that can actually give her what she wants. The Mistblade Reforged is gonna increase your crit damage, which is pretty good too, and it's also gonna give you elemental damage bonus, which is very good too. It's also pretty good for Layla, just for like the crit increases and damage bonus, so it's gonna increase her damage. But for like a weapon for Layla specifically, where the main thing she needs is gonna be HP, I wouldn't really say it's that good. So it's not like S tier material in my opinion, but it's still pretty good, so I'll put it at like A tier. It's not gonna help you with your shield and like main damage, but it's gonna allow you to have enough crit and elemental damage bonus, which can help you too. We have the Haran Gippuku Futsu. It's gonna give you crit rate, which as I said is gonna be pretty good too, and that's gonna give you elemental damage bonus from the passive, which is pretty good too. The rest of the passive is gonna increase your auto attacks, which is not really that important, but generally this weapon is pretty much the same as the Mist Splitter. It's gonna give you crit rate and damage bonus, so yeah, I'd put it at A tier too. And finally we have the Key of Rajni's Suit. It's the only weapon that's gonna give you HP as a substat, so you definitely want to use it on Layla, and it's also gonna increase your HP from the passive. The rest of the passive is not really that good. It might be good for like support and stuff like that, but generally speaking, it's not like fit for Layla. But it's still definitely her best weapon since it's gonna give you HP, which is the main thing you need. So the Key of Rajni's Suit is definitely going S tier. So as you guys can see here, this is the tier list for Layla's weapons. She doesn't really have that many great weapons at all. All of the weapons, even like S tier weapons, are not really like they're not really gonna work like super good on Layla. They're just like scuffed weapons. It's pretty much the same thing with Nilo. That's because we don't have an HP weapon right now. The only HP weapon we have is a 5-star weapon, so it's gonna be pretty hard to find like a good weapon on Layla. Hopefully in the future we're gonna have more like free-to-play HP weapons, but for right now these are the weapons you're gonna have to use on Layla. She doesn't really have that many great options. So yeah, that was the video guys. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and see y'all in the next video. Peace.